All right, an incredible interview at hand at the IMT Creators Lounge right now. It never gets old. Never gets old for me to see that guy right there looking at me. I see you looking at me and saying, hey, you guys are pretty spectacular. Well, we've got a great conversation afoot. His name is Tony Papke. Got that name? Got the name right, didn't
Sure did.
MXD is the organization. Innovation. That's what we're talking about here. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for asking.
No, man. Thanks for being here. Now, are you having a good conference here? You buzzing around? What's the big highlight?
Boy, there's just so much to see. I think that's the highlight. The fact that we're
It's
here
overwhelming, huh?
in person again. Actually, it's funny, kind of funny. When I started with MXD about 4 years ago, my first week on the job was coming to IMTS back in 2018. So it's been full circle for me.
And yeah, this would be the second time you were here.
Correct.
Have you seen such a change, like from 2018 to 2022?
So 2018, I think, was one of the biggest shows I think they'd ever had, where basically every single wing was sold out. It was one of the most largest attended, I think, IMTSs they've ever had. So I don't know if they've hit the same numbers for this or not, but it's still great to see everybody in person, see everyone out and about walking around. It's been very lively.
So for the listeners out there, for the watchers out there, for the people walking on by, give us a little 411 on who Tony is. Background. Just dazzle me. That's what I want.
Dazzle you.
Dazzle me.
All right. So I'm an engineer. So that would be my trade as a background. I was always very creative, always mechanical, always doing things with my hands, taking things apart, building it, putting it back together. So I went to school to be an engineer, and then I decided I didn't want to do any engineering.
Sadly, but it's a common theme with some people, yeah?
It was, and I really enjoyed having conversations, talking with people, and so I wanted to use some of my skills and my backgrounds to do something else. And so sales kind of gravitated, but more on the service side of things. So the first job I took out of school was with GE Healthcare in a medical device kind of environment, healthcare, fixing things, and being in front of people. And I really enjoyed that and did that for a while. Found another company in medical device. So I always have this mission. I've always had something that's driven me to help people or to be part of something bigger that was, important to not only myself, but to who I was benefiting. And so I worked for another medical device company in image-guided surgery and radiotherapy, and I did that for a bit. And after about 12 years there, doing a variety of different roles, MXD came calling. I had a friend who knew the CEO at the time, and he said, you should go check them out, see what they're up to. At the time, we were known as DMDII, which stood for the Digital Manufacturing Design Innovation Institute.
I like MXD.
I do too. It's a lot of letters,
right
acronyms, and not very easy to say, I will say. But he introduced me. I got drawn to it. I went to my manager at the time, and I told him about it, and he's like, you should go do it. Basically, it was a flat out, you can always come back here. So
no kidding. And you haven't looked back.
I have not. It's been 4 years now, and there's been so much change, so much great things that we're doing. Not only have we changed our name, but we've also done a lot for the folks that are part of our ecosystem and for greater manufacturing in general.
So let's dive into MXD. Why MXD? What makes MXD important in the world of manufacturing?
So I think first and foremost, so MXD stands for Manufacturing Times Digital. So we are the Digital Manufacturing Institute. And what I think the biggest part that we're doing is we're trying to improve United States competitiveness in manufacturing. That is our job. And it starts at the top, and it starts from the bottom, and it goes everywhere in between. And the challenge that we have is that there's so much technology out there. There are so many things that could be helping these manufacturers, but there's not a pathway to get that to them. There's not a way to make it easy. There's not a way for them to just find out and, to Google, how do I get started with digital manufacturing? And it's a challenge, and it's not something you can just do overnight. So that's our part, really, is in general to help that happen. So we are the conduit, we are the convener, we are the public-private partnership that allows that to happen.
See, the way I look at MXD, right, and I've had a number of conversations with many manufacturers, with industry professionals around the world, and everybody's talking and chirping about digital transformation this, AI that, analytic this, cloud that, edge this. and all of the technology that's floating around there, one, the feedback is always, where do I start?
Yeah.
Who do I trust? And how much is it going to cost me? And is it going to be valuable to my bottom line, or is this just going to be a waste? And I don't want the damn headache, right?
Yeah.
I don't want another headache that I'm dealing with in my business, right? And so it's always important to be able to find that Sherpa, that trusted Sherpa. And that's how I look at MXD.
I think that's a very fair assessment. We are neutral, right? So even though we will give you a recommendation, it's based on our direct relationship with the folks that we're working with. It's not like we're going to sell somebody else's services for them. We are going to tell you who we talk to, who we find valuable, who we think have been doing a great job and what they've been doing. And that is part of the value that we bring because we are neutral. In that same kind of vein too, on what you're talking about, I mean, it's really challenging. The where do I get started?
Oh.
It's one of those conversations that we have time and time again, and so much so that we have kind of shifted some of our projects, so we can get to projects at some point in time here.
Yes.
But MXD is about helping these manufacturers. So we've created projects that are funded by the Department of Defense, because that's where we receive the majority of our funding. And we put that out there to solve these challenges and problems. And one of them, or at least several that we've been hearing, is where do I get started? So we have put together projects around playbooks or ROI guides or lessons learned or frameworks. So as a manufacturer, you would be able to say, okay, I could take this assessment, this survey, this interactive tool, this guide solution that will then point me on my journey and say, I'm here and I'm trying to get to here. And here's how I need to get there. Here's the roadmap. Here's vendors that you could work with. Once again, not anyone you should pick, but just several that we feel are valuable and that could help you on your way. Or you know what? You're not ready for digital yet. You got to do these things first before you can even get to this. And just be really open with the process to help someone from the start to where they are on their journey to help them further along in their journey.
Are the resources that are available at MXD, how much is it going to cost me?
It depends. So we try to make it extremely easy for our small to medium-sized manufacturer solution providers. It's $500 a year. And we have to make it some number.
$500 a year, right? Don't come to me and say I can't afford it. Get a loan from me if you want to. There are people looking at it.
So
just 500?
It is. We want to make it easy for the small to medium-sized manufacturers and solution providers. The challenge, and maybe you know these stats, there are over 250,000 U.S. manufacturers right now. The majority of them, 98.5%, are small in size. That means 500 employees or less.
Okay, I was just getting ready to define that. Go
and
ahead.
then of that 98.5%, 70% roughly are 20 or less. Think about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And see what's interesting and what I like about MXD is the fact that I find small to mid-sized companies, big companies are going to be able to do whatever the big companies can do, but it's the small to mid-sized companies that need to find the trusted resources and to be able to participate in whatever digital transformation opportunity exists. But many of them are reluctant because of the maybe cost or whatever it is. What I like about MXD is the fact that I can just call you and say, hey, I'm a small manufacturer. I would like to be able to be a part of this digital transformation journey. What do I need to do? And it's a simple call.
It is. And the other, I think, great thing that we do too is bringing together people. So we are a very good convener. Thanks for participating yesterday in our open house.
Yeah,
so we're here in Chicago. We're on Goose Island. We're just a short cab right away. And, we are always open. Our doors are always open. We're always inviting folks to come by and take a tour of our factory floor or talk to our members who are on site. To really learn more, ask questions, and get the answers that they're looking for. That is really our goal: is awareness, education. How can we help manufacturers? And so that's really a big part of our job. And actually, I don't want to do a selfless plug, but we do have another we do have another open house this Thursday at 2 p.m. So similar to, it wouldn't be like cocktails and reception. It's going to be more about the factory floor. So anyone who happens to be in town and wants to stop over, 2 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah, and it was a simple, I was there last night. Absolutely phenomenal innovation center. And the reception, the quality of individuals that were there, top notch. But what I like about it is that, and I don't know what you call your partners, the individuals in your innovation centers. Like I think IBM was there, and I think software was there. Whatever. What do they call? Are they partners?
Partners, members. We kind of use the term together.
Interchangeably.
Yeah, interchangeably.
And they're solving problems. They hear a problem, they solve a problem, and they have that sort of a workbench type of approach to it. Is that an accurate way of looking at it?
So some of the folks that are on our factory floor, for them, it's making it tangible. It's making it real. So a lot of with digital is it's hard to see.
Yeah.
So you need to almost experience it. And so having a place where you can go see the art of the possible, a place that you can go see many different things on a holistic journey of like, why would I do this here, or why would it make sense here? Of course, we can't show every use case, but what we want to do is show an example of a use case that will then help provide this idea or light bulb that will go off and say, you know what, that might not work for me, but this would. And it's amazing the different industries that we have come. Sometimes you would think, well, it only has to be aerospace and defense, or it only has to be process or discrete, or whoever's coming through our doors. And sometimes it's food manufacturers or fast food manufacturers, and they see something that we're doing, and they're like, I've never thought about it that way. And now I take that back to my operations, and it will improve it, because now I can take this idea that I've learned and really take it in and make it our own.
So where do you see MXD sort of moving forward? What's the future? What does it look like? Because you got a hell of a setup right now, and I think that timing is everything, and this is the time, and you need to be engaged. You need to find those answers. You need to find individuals that you can work with. I think it's a beautiful model. Where do you see it going?
For us, it's really scaling and just getting the word even out more, right? Like how do we take already what we're doing, package it up in the right way, and make it so it's available to anyone. We talked about that huge number of 250,000 plus manufacturers that are out there, and the majority of being them, small. Like how do we put together something for them that they can just use and leverage and answer those questions that you were just talking about? Where do I get started? What's my ROI? What digital technologies and initiatives should I even be thinking about right now? Like we need to make that so easy that everyone can do it.
See, yeah, you got to remove the friction, and you got to make it easy so that I can consume the content or the information that benefits my business. I see that's important. Why is there, if there's 250,000 manufacturers, and how many members? I mean, there's still enough. We need to get that message out. Why? Why are we?
There's a lot of things, I think. Yeah, it's the friction's part of it. It's the resources. It's the time. It's the commitment, right? Like the challenge that we see is that the small to medium-sized manufacturer, the 20 to 50 person kind of manufacturing shop, machine builder, whatever you want to call them, they're so ingrained in the day-to-day. They're so worried about producing. They're so worried about their bottom line that they don't have time to even have a resource come to an event or to take part in an initiative or do the research that they need to do to then understand how they can do some of these things that we're trying to help them do. And so that's really where we lean on our partners and members to help them do that, right? So we need to make it even easier. We need to make it so that, there's a program called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Every state has them, where there are organizations that help manufacturers do this, right? They have funding that's available at the state level that they are able to take some things that we're already doing and then maybe be the hand or the consultant that will then help them get over that bridge.
See, and the reality is it's a human equation, without a doubt, and it's constraints. Yes, I hear it, but I think the reality is that this is so important for businesses to begin this journey, or they're not going to be around, because somebody's going to crack that code, and they're going to just blister right past you and be successful and have that business that is legacy focused, right?
Agreed. And I think COVID has really pushed that.
COVID has also pushed the fact that we collaborate more, that we talk more,
in different ways.
We realize that we need people to help us solve problems.
I mean, some of these manufacturers, let's be honest, they don't even know who's going to show up in the morning.
Yeah, see?
Right? They don't even know who's on the schedule, who's going to take on what task that day.
I think there's a real opportunity to be able to frame the profession of manufacturers as real heroes, real. It's high-end technology sophisticated career stuff, and we just don't do a good job at that.
Well, manufacturing is cool.
Manufacturing is cool.
You know, and I think that's being lost in translation
Yeah.
sometime. I think,
Yeah. No,
folks
that's a
still
good point.
think manufacturing is this dirty, grungy, old environment that, doesn't have any really cool technology, but that's changed. And we need to get over that. And I think the workforce and the education, the folks that are in the school now are doing a great job with that, but it's not enough. There's so many jobs that are unfilled right now. There's so many jobs that we don't even know are going to exist in the future yet that we're trying to help define. And what are the career pathways to do that?
What was the stat that your CEO stated about 2 million jobs?
I think,
I think it was 2 million jobs unfulfilled by the year 2030.
correct.
Or
I think
open jobs, 2
I think
million open jobs, or whatever it is.
I think it's 700,000 now roughly, and it'll be 2 million by that time. Yes,
That's staggering.
it is.
And that's a call for innovation. That's a call for technology to be able to fulfill that. You got to keep the doors open. You got to keep sort of the wheels turning, right?
You do? I also feel that they're like, being in the trades. That's okay. That's a great job.
Oh, heck
yeah.
yeah.
I have a son.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to be when he grows up, but I would be happy with whatever decision he wants to make, and that would be a great career pathway.
Boy, especially now. I mean, just now as you're here at IMTS and you're looking at the technology and you're looking at the solutions that it's mind bending. It's just really impressive, and the level of engineering, but the solutions are just absolutely spectacular. Now, Tony, how do they get a hold of you? Let's say I'm a small manufacturer. What's the process for me to get a hold of you and get the sort of the MXD, ball rolling?
Sure. So our website is mxdusa.org. So that's the easiest way to reach us. There's all kinds of, learn more about membership or become a member. So you can click on any one of those links. And yes, I'm saying that's okay. You can click on those links.
But I know you have some free downloads out there.
We do. We have tons of hiring guides are available, job taxonomies that are available. Another thing that's important for many, especially in our world, is CMMC, which stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model
We
Certification.
didn't even touch on that.
We didn't,
The whole
but
cyber
there's a guide that will help people understand kind of the playbook of how do I get started in that realm. There's so much in cyber that's scary, but also awareness and training that we have. We have tons of resources, and really what we need to do is get those resources to the people that need it. And so the first part is making that initial contact, reaching out to us. We're not trying to sell anything. Membership, like I said, for those small to medium-sized manufacturers, solution providers, is not very much. We just want to make sure that we can get the information that we have to those that are in need of it.
Yeah, see, and the way I always look at it, I look at it the fact that I'm looking for a starting, and of course, we need to be frictionless. It needs to be easy, right? I don't need additional headaches. So it makes me feel warm and fuzzy and cuddly, knowing that I can just go to your website and really begin the journey there. And I bet I could probably find a phone number, and I can begin my journey there too.
100%.
And that to me sounds like an absolutely wonderful, solution. And especially in a world that is just wrought with, a confused mind makes no decisions, right? And so there can be a lot of haze out there, a lot of foggy whatever stuff going on. And I'm a big fan of that.
So we want to be that, we'll call it the clearinghouse, right? We want to be that neutral party, that unbiased party that you can go to and really just ask questions, and we'll give you real answers. And I think at the end of the day, that is exactly what folks need.
Let me trust you.
That's right.
All right, you were absolutely wonderful, Tony. And I've got to tell you, last night was just absolutely spectacular. And I think I asked the question: can I just sort of come to Chicago, and not me, anybody, and then knock on the door of MXD and see what's going on?
So the good way would be to ask ahead of time. We do these open houses like we're doing this Thursday every month. So it's the third Thursday of every month.
All right.
So we're always available. But yes, if I'm there or one of my staff's there, we would be more than happy to show anyone around.
See, I like that.
It's a place where people can go. It's a convening space.
Yeah. Sad, but you don't have pizza around there. Do you have a pizza place around there?
We used to have a brewery. There is Goose Island Brewery, so that's the good news.
That is a good brew. I do like that brew. It's not there anymore?
It is. So they're still they don't brew it there. So they have a small brewery and a restaurant on the island that you can go to and eat and drink their beer, obviously. But the actual brewery is no longer there.
All right. Well, Tony, you were absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for finding time in your busy schedule. And,
Thank you.
And you know, I know I'm taking you away from stuff on the floor, but that's okay.
No, this was great. I really appreciate the time to be here to talk, to get to have this conversation. And once again, I appreciate all you're doing. And, you know, if anyone that you talk to needs to learn more about MXD, send them my way.
MXD. All right. Thank you very much for joining the IMTS Creators Lounge. We're going to have another great conversation shortly. I think it's going to be, it's going to be Mitch Free. He's a rock star, so do not hesitate. Find out more about that. All right. Thank you very much.
That was fast.
What a great conversation with Scott McKenzie and Tony Papke. I love the parallel right now. They're in the booth having a conversation. We're out here in our on the floor this is the Creators Lounge. There's a tour going by. This is the Creators Lounge. We're creating right now. Look at it live. Yeah, awesome. So fun to be right in the thick of it. I am with my friend Nels of Industrial Strength Marketing. How are you feeling, Nels?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Mary.
So we were just talking about how we all have our individual skill sets, but then we're like, each person is like a hat shop. We're like, which hat goes on today? So what are some of the hats you wear? What's some of the balance? How's your day going? What's going on with you? What hat do you have on right now?
Well,
You can grab the mic, or I can hold it for you like a mic stand.
I'm in learning mode. You know, one of my hats is clarity and be able to explain complicated things in simple terms. People have told me that repeatedly, so I'll wear that hat today, and it's just great.
That hat looks great on you.
So Tony, the interview with Scott. Tony's from MXD, which is one of the 16 institutes that make up the Manufacturing USA Network. And I'm actually headed over to the live lab for a panel discussion on the Manufacturing USA Network. So, and it's wins and losses, and they've got 4 heavyweights from within the network, and they're going to share, and they do advanced manufacturing. If you think of that innovation valley of death, how do you go from idea to product? Costs a lot of money to actually come up with a viable prototype and then demonstrate it in a lab setting, then actually demonstrate it in a manufacturing setting, and then scale. Research is really expensive, and Manufacturing USA helps bring innovations to small manufacturers because they can't afford massive research and developments. So I'm looking forward to this session at 2 o'clock.
One of the things I want to highlight from our conversation, there's an adage of like, do you see the forest for the trees? Do you see the trees or do you see the forest? And Nels said, I see the path in between the trees. Whoa. And that blew my mind. Talk about being a creator. Talk about being an innovator. That's the mindset of Industrial Strength Marketing and Industrial Studios. And it's also the mindset of Mitch Free, who coming up, you're not going to want to miss. Mitch Free is going to be interviewing David Modig, president of Modig. Stay tuned. IMTS 2022.
Let's go boom. Let's go boom. Boom.